69 days ago, the United States and Israel launched airstrikes on Iran in the middle of the night. No warning, no declaration of war, just missiles falling on military bases, government buildings, and the home of a man who had ruled Iran with an iron fist for over 3 decades. By morning, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was dead, and the Middle East, a region that had been sitting on a powder keg since 2023, finally exploded. Right now, as you watch this, the world is holding its breath. Peace talks are happening behind closed doors in Pakistan. The Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway through which 20% of the world's oil and gas passes every single day, is still blocked. Iran is reviewing a 14-point peace proposal from Washington, and Donald Trump is threatening to resume bombing if Iran does not agree to a deal. This is not history. This is happening right now. And to understand where this is going, you first need to understand how we got here. Because this war did not start on February 28, 2026. It started decades ago, and the road that led to missiles falling on Tehran was paved with decisions, miscalculations, and betrayals that go all the way back to 1953. Most people alive today do not know what happened in Iran in 1953, and that is exactly the problem. Because everything, every piece of hatred, every moment of mistrust, every missile fired between Washington and Tehran in the decades since, traces back to one CIA operation in the summer of that year. Operation Ajax, a covert American operation that overthrew Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, and reinstated the Shah, a monarch who ruled Iran as an American ally and a brutal autocrat for the next 26 years. Mossadegh's crime, in American and British eyes, was simple. He had nationalized Iran's oil industry, taken it back from the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which is today known as BP, and declared that Iran's oil belonged to Iran. For the Iranian people, this was an act of sovereignty and national pride. For Washington and London, it was an unacceptable threat to Western economic interests in the region. And so the CIA and British intelligence organized a coup. They paid Iranian journalists to run anti-Mossadegh propaganda. They hired street gangs to cause chaos. They turned the Iranian military against its own government. And on August 19, 1953, Mossadegh was arrested. The Shah was restored, and America got its ally. Iran never forgot. For 26 years, the Shah ruled Iran with American support, and SAVAK, his secret police, ruled the Iranian people with terror. Dissidents were tortured, opposition was crushed, and underneath the surface of the modernizing, westernizing Iran that American officials praised, a revolution was building. It came in 1979. The Shah fled. Ayatollah Khamenei returned from exile, and the Islamic Republic of Iran was born, a government whose founding ideology was built on opposition to America, opposition to Israel, and the memory of everything the West had done to Iran since 1953. The hostage crisis that followed, 444 days with 52 American diplomats held captive in the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, burned itself into American consciousness in a way that shaped every subsequent American policy toward Iran. And Iran's memory of the CIA coup of '53 burned equally deep into Iranian consciousness. Two nations, two deep, unhealing wounds, and no shared framework for understanding each other. What followed was 4 decades of proxy conflict, sanctions, nuclear brinkmanship, and escalating tension that never quite became direct war, until February 28 of this year. The nuclear question was at the heart of everything. Iran had been developing its nuclear program since the 1950s, ironically, with American help, under a program called Atoms for Peace. After the revolution, the program continued. And as Iran's enrichment of uranium advanced toward weapons-grade capability, the question of whether Iran was building a nuclear bomb became the central obsession of American and Israeli foreign policy. In 2015, the Obama administration negotiated the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, a landmark nuclear deal in which Iran agreed to significant limits on its nuclear program in exchange for the lifting of crippling economic sanctions. It was, by any reasonable analysis, a significant diplomatic achievement. Then in 2018, Donald Trump walked out of it. Trump called the deal the worst deal ever negotiated. He reimposed sanctions. He pursued a policy of maximum pressure designed to force Iran back to the table for a tougher agreement. What maximum pressure actually produced was an Iranian nuclear program that accelerated rather than slowed. Because Iran, having watched America abandon the deal it had signed, concluded that American promises were worthless and that the only reliable guarantee of its security was a nuclear deterrent. By 2023, Iran was enriching uranium to 60%, dangerously close to the 90% needed for a weapon. And then October 7 happened. The Hamas attacks on Israel on October 7, 2023 did not directly involve Iran, but Iran was the primary financier and supporter of Hamas. And in the months that followed, as Israel launched its war in Gaza, the entire Middle Eastern proxy network that Iran had spent decades building, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, various militias in Iraq and Syria, activated simultaneously against Israel and American interests in the region. In April 2024, Iran launched a direct missile and drone attack on Israel for the first time in history, over 300 projectiles fired directly at Israeli territory. Israel intercepted the vast majority. Iran called it retaliation for an Israeli strike on its consulate in Damascus. Israel called it an act of war. The 12-day war came in June 2025. Israel launched a massive preemptive strike on Iranian military and nuclear facilities. The United States joined the strikes, targeting Iran's nuclear sites. A ceasefire was reached after 12 days, but the nuclear facilities were damaged, not destroyed. Iran's nuclear program was set back, not eliminated. And the fundamental conflict, the question of what Iran would do next and whether Israel could tolerate a nuclear-capable Iran, remained completely unresolved. The final trigger came in early 2026. Iran was at its weakest point in years. Massive protests, the largest since 1979, were shaking the regime. The economy was collapsing under sanctions. Iran's regional allies had been severely weakened by years of Israeli military action. Hezbollah had been badly damaged in Lebanon. Hamas was decimated in Gaza. The proxy network that had been Iran's primary tool of regional influence for decades was a shadow of what it had been. And nuclear talks in February 2026 collapsed when Trump said he was not thrilled with Iran's proposed concessions. On February 28, 2026, the missiles fell. The US and Israeli strikes targeted military bases, government buildings, missile production facilities, and nuclear sites. They also killed Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader who had ruled Iran since 1989, the man who had been the face of Iranian resistance to American power for 3.5 decades. His death was simultaneously the most dramatic moment of the conflict and its most unpredictable consequence. Because nobody, not in Washington, not in Tel Aviv, not in Tehran, knew what Iran would look like without him, or what it would do next. What it did next was respond with everything it had left. Iranian missiles and drones struck Israel, American military bases across the region, and countries across the Middle East that housed American forces or maintained friendly relations with Washington. The Strait of Hormuz, the narrow channel between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula through which 20% of global oil passes every single day, was closed. The effect on global energy markets was immediate and severe. Oil prices spiked. Inflation accelerated in countries that had nothing to do with the conflict. The global economy, already fragile, began to show signs of serious strain. And then, as wars sometimes do when both sides discover that the fighting is more expensive than they expected, the shooting gradually slowed. A conditional ceasefire was declared on April 8. The major military campaign, which the Pentagon had named Operation Epic Fury, was officially declared over by Secretary of State Marco Rubio just days ago. Peace talks, mediated by Pakistan, began in earnest. A 14-point framework is reportedly being discussed. Iran is reviewing it. Trump is pushing for a deal before his upcoming trip to China. But the Strait of Hormuz is still not open. Iran's nuclear program still exists. The question of who controls the waterway through which a fifth of the world's energy supply passes has not been answered. And the new supreme leader, Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, who has taken his father's place, is an unknown quantity in a way that his father never was after 40 years in power. Here is what nobody is saying loudly enough right now. The ceasefire is fragile, the peace talks are complicated, and the fundamental issues that caused this war, Iran's nuclear ambitions, America's determination to prevent an Iranian bomb, Israel's existential fear of a nuclear-armed neighbor, and Iran's deep historical grievance against American interference in its affairs, none of those issues have been resolved. They have been paused, the same way that the armistice of November 11, 1918 paused the First World War without resolving any of the tensions that caused it. And we all know what happened 20 years after that armistice. This conflict is not over. It is resting. And what happens in the coming weeks, whether Iran accepts the American proposal, whether the Strait of Hormuz reopens, whether Trump's deadline produces a deal or a resumption of bombing, will determine whether the rest of 2026 becomes the beginning of a genuine peace or the intermission before something even worse. The world is watching, and you should be too. If you want to understand the deeper history behind conflicts like this one, how the decisions of the past create the crises of the present, our complete World War I documentary is already on this channel. Because the patterns do not change, only the names and the weapons do. Link is in the description. Subscribe to Vanta History, because the world is moving fast right now, and history is the only thing that helps you understand where it is going.